Sand Hollow, Utah, and the quest for the chute. So on today's adventure, I was supposed to meet up with a St. George Jeepers, and what happened was I missed my exit. So then I took a way that did not take me past the gas station, and I missed my chance to go out with them. And I was airing up when they were leaving, and they said, just head down this trail. You'll run into them. Well, I head down the trail, and I did not run into them, and I did not see them. So this just became, I'm out here exploring by myself. So this is over by the west rim. I forget what this little cutoff is here. But it meets up with the west rim trail for a little bit. And basically I get to a certain point, and then I kind of head over. The main reason why I came here is because I saw in the description of the Sand Mountain Loop that they were going to do was that they would end up running the chute at the end. And I have not run the chute at this point, so I really wanted to do that. So here I am. Now, we've been to this a couple times, or once before, and have done this when we came to try to do the West Rim by ourselves. And like I've mentioned in other videos, that Sand Hollow is a little confusing, and Onyx is a little confusing, and things don't always match up with what you think. So I think it's really it's best if you can run this with a group a few times and the different trails, so that you have an idea of where to be going, because there's a lot of mix and match where like West Rim runs into Bizzackwards and Fault Line and some of these other trails, and it's since it's not really marked well, it's easy to just kind of not know what the hell you're doing. So this little obstacle is called the funnel. It's not all that hard, but you can see it's like it kind of gets narrow for a second, like a funnel. And maybe it's harder if you can see it looks like people scrape on there. But I'm on 37s and I'm at 12 or 11 or 12 psi. I can't even remember now. But I just went up that. But I like this area. I like the rocks here. This is nice, and I like the views. It's nice we had clouds. Spent most of the day kicking myself for missing my exit. Here I am. I'm just pulling out just to get a good look at the view from this edge. That's a really nice looking valley. Clouds. It's just a beautiful day. At this point, I'm just hoping that I run into the St. George Jeepers. Couple little steps there. See, the easy line was to the right, and I decided to show off, I guess. It wasn't that hard, but compared to the easy line, that's like showing off, I guess. Here I chose to just stay up on the rock. I could have gone down and been near the edge again. I just love these big rocks that you cut in and out in between around that sends you around up here. It's super cool looking. And over here we're going to have like just a little peek of the edge. And you can see there are tracks going every which way, and it's very hard to tell where exactly you're supposed to be. But since I'm just freestyling and I just know that, it's like, well, somewhere over here the St. George Jeepers are, I'm just gonna kind of bomb around a little bit and hope I run into them. This obstacle's the toll booth. I think they have 3 or 4 toll booths you can go through. This, I think, is toll booth number 2. It's a little tight in between that rock and they're like toll booths, like you get the 2 walls going up, and this one here's its main thing is it's like your mirrors in the side of your Jeep are right up on the rocks. And there's not really a lot of room for mistakes there. Could have folded my mirrors in, but I didn't. Okay, so coming up here is a nice little drop. I don't know if it has a name or what. And I don't know if you're supposed to run it downhill or do it uphill, or it doesn't matter. It's a lot steeper than it looks. You can kind of see it's like, clunk. The hood kind of disappears, and then the GoPro kind of adjusts since it's actually fixed, it's like it's adjusting what the view you see, so it can actually only show certain inclines or declines with its stability, so that's limited in range. But one thing I've liked is I've got a polarized filter on this, so with the harsh suns it helps the GoPro out a little bit and makes it so the colors and everything isn't washed out as much as it was when I didn't have it, so I think things look a lot better. Here, this is another one. It's kind of a steep drop that's off to the right here. I'm getting lined up here. And then you go down. It's not that bad, but it is pretty steep. And since I was by myself and facing into the sun, my front camera couldn't really see well. I actually stopped there and got out and looked just to make sure. I know I did this one before when I was with Shell, but some of this area here is really cool looking too. It's like it looks a little different, and the sand is kind of almost like warped or melted. Now coming up, so here you got like this little, well, they're not little, these aren't little bumps at all. It might look little in the video, but they're not. You can see how much the Jeep is going up. But that wall right in front of us, Shelly and I actually did that, tried to do that the last time we were here, and we actually stopped and backed down. And so this time I decided I was gonna give it a little effort. So here we go. And success with a bang. So I'm pretty sure like those are the drop down brackets that hit for my rear control arms. They're kind of like the low thing in there, since they're not smooth or angled smooth in the front, they don't slide over. They can stop you on some of these ledges that are straight. If you're hitting it straight, they can actually just stop the Jeep. So a lot of times on the ledges I like to hit it at a little bit at an angle, but that one was very steep, much steeper than it looked. Kind of crazy. Kind of made me think I had bitten off more than I could chew, so to speak. So I decided to pull it back just a little bit, since I was by myself and I didn't have another Jeep there as backup. So I didn't want to do too many crazy things along the way. And yep, I kind of consider that one a little crazy. Look at that view. That is just so beautiful. Okay, so here I'm just like, okay, messed around over here enough. I'm just gonna climb out of here and then try to get on the path for West Rim or West Rim Light so that we shoot up the park, and then I can take a left and then cut across over to the dunes, and then from the dunes I can figure out a way to get over to the Chute area, which is my main goal for the whole day. Besides finding the Jeepers, St. George Jeepers, where are you? I did see Jeeps throughout the day, but they were not the Jeeps that I was looking for. They were in areas that were harder. So, like, I think it was the Maze Trail. I saw later a bunch of Jeeps in the Maze Trail. They look like they were on big tires, like 40s. But that's a harder trail. Okay, so here we've made it to the outside edge of the West Rim trail, and this here is like a little cutoff. So I think if you go straight, you can kind of continue into that. There's like a whole little pocket of where there's all sorts of circles on the map. But my main goal is to try to find them, and I know like Sand Mountain Loop is probably going to end up in the big sand dunes. So I want to cut over to the sand dunes and see if I see the Jeeps over there. And if they're not over there, then my goal is to just make my way over to the Chute area and hope that I get over there around the time that they get there. Another nice overlook. I mean, this day was just amazing. And here, this is kind of funny, but I just wanted to get those mountains in the background. They look so pretty. So I just wanted to have the GoPro look at them. So hopefully on the big screen, if you have one, it looks nice. And I pulled over at that point because when I cut over, then of course someone showed up and was buzzing along in a UTV, but there's another overlook. There were some more UTVs around this point too, I think. I might have cut them out though. Just to try to limit how long this video is, because we've got plenty of much longer video of me just driving around in Sand Hollow. So you can see how the clouds, when I stopped for a second, that was when the UTV was driving by. Chopped out that section and then you see the clouds jump forward just a little bit. I try to just help speed this along just a little bit. So like overall, I had over 3 hours of video. And any time that was just sitting, that easily dropped it into the 2-hour range. And then I cut out like long stretches of like just normal driving sand or normal driving trail or something. Nothing that was all that interesting or, you know, much different from a lot of the other stuff I've already been doing. So I cut that out and I got it down to just over an hour now. So and we are passing top of the world. Should have pointed that out at this point. And then top of the world, you can drive up there, but it was full of UTVs and dirt bikes, and they were just all up there just parked talking. So I wasn't going to go up there to get a picture while they were all talking. And this ledge here, it's the same kind of thing. They got a bunch of UTVs up here at this edge. There's a couple spots where they can just drop right off into the sand, off the rock, and go bombing around up there. But I'm just driving towards the edge just a little bit so to get the overlook for the GoPro. See a couple more UTVs coming in. They like to race around really fast and park and talk a lot. But you can see that's a nice overlook there. And here, so if you drive past those guys, then this comes to a nice point up here. And it's like overlooking sand dunes and the mountains and everything. So that's what we're doing. And we're really, you can see we're pretty high up, really high up. Wouldn't want to try to survive a fall from this, that's for sure. But it's a great view if you haven't been up here. I just love the views. mean, just look how far down that is. Isn't that crazy looking? That's a huge sand area. Super cool. And if you haven't driven around in the sun at some point, this is like in the sand, driven around in the sand at some point. This is a great place to do it. And when you're here, you have to have a sand flag. So you can tell I have one when, like, the sun's at my back, and there you see it. It's right there. See the shadow of my flag. I don't know what the rule is for how tall your flag has to be. You'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure my sand flag is bigger because I got it to meet the requirements at Silver Lake Sand Dunes State Park in Michigan. I went to visit my friend Dimitri, and Alex, and hang out with those guys a little bit. I think we used it also at Holly Oaks. So we went to the Silver Lake Sand Dunes and Holly Oaks on top of dinners and lunches and stuff. But Jeep-wise, we spent a couple days just having fun with our Jeeps. Would have been fun to have them here. Their Jeep is a 4xe Rubicon, and it does really well in the sand and everywhere. Tons of power. It's on 35s, got full skid plates, metal cloak lift. It's just a great Jeep. In the spring, he's coming to visit, so maybe this is a place we'll visit. I don't know. He's making up a list of all the places he wants to visit while he's here for the limited amount of time that he has. And I'm just planning on rolling with it, and wherever he wants to go, that's great, because this is their trip out west. And if they have any bucket list things they would like to do, then we can do them. So here I'm buzzing along the sand dunes, and I'm just looking at the map and trying to figure out where I want to go. And I see over on the north edge of the sand dunes, I think it's north. Well, one of the edge of the sand dunes is where Razzle Dazzle meets up with the sand dunes and kind of zigzags back and forth. So I'm kind of like trying to work my way over where I line up with Razzle Dazzle. Then I would take Razzle Dazzle over towards the chute and maybe meet up with, I don't know what other trails I was on, but I crossed over a whole bunch. I think this is Razzle Dazzle, or Razzle Dazzle's to the far right, but I can see it, so I'm just choosing to ride on these dunes. I think it's down on the far right over there, but I'm coming over to these rocks. UTVs. Three UTVs. See the lake down there? It's pretty cool. In this area here, I actually spun around to the right, went up past that rock where the UTV was, then went back up into those rocks, and then parked for a second, took some pictures, and then continued back this way. And some sand dune. I did pretty good on the sand dunes. There's one section on the sand dunes on the way coming back when I was decided I was done for the day. There was one sand dune that it was steep and I could easily have made it, but sometimes when they're big and steep like that and you don't know what's on the other side, it's like I didn't fully commit enough, and so I let off the throttle, and so that one sand dune kind of caught me at the top, and I didn't even get a big run at it. I just backed down and then just didn't let up off the throttle as soon as I did the previous time, and I made it over easy, but did pretty good with the sand dunes. Probably just checking my map. I didn't cut that little pause out, but sorry about that. So I think right here you can kind of see Razzle Dazzle's over to the edge. Now I'm kind of getting over to it to join it. You can pretty much cross over all these dunes wherever, but since I don't know what's on the other side, if I go where someone else has been going, then it's probably going to be safe. So, at least I hope. Alright, so now I'm in the little Razzle Dazzle track. And I'm kind of leaving again. I like when they have the little waves or ripples on the sand. It's always very pretty. Alright. So after following Razzle Dazzle for a little bit, popped out into this little rock formation. It's kind of cute. It's really not all that narrow or difficult, but I just included it because it's something nice to look at, and you see the mountain in the background. That looked really good when the way the sun was hitting it. I hope that turns out good so it looks nice on my TV. Well, since I did not see the St. George Jeepers on the sand dunes, I am just basically cutting across the map on trails to make my way over to the chute. And, like this one here, I don't even know if this is a trail or what it is. I can't remember I don't think it was like a part of a listed trail. It was a trail, but it wasn't like a named trail. But it basically connected between Razzle Dazzle over to this other trail over here. And I can't remember all their names. There's like a bunch of sevens, and there's Double Sammy, and the Zackwards, and all sorts of stuff over there, but I can't remember which one the chute is on at this point. But I can see, like, when I look at Onyx, that this is a trail that's basically heading over to where I want to be. So I'm basically looking at Onyx and up ahead, just trying to just make a beeline for it at this point, because I'm just like, look, if there's anything I want to do today, it's the chute. That's the one thing I want to do. Here I come up. It's about lunchtime, and a whole bunch of UTVs are just parked kind of every which way up here next to this rock, and they're all just chilling, having lunch. I think there's a bunch of UTVs and one Jeep. I don't know if the GoPro saw it, but I thought I remembered seeing one Jeep up in there. It's hard. I'm doing all this editing on my phone, so hard to tell. Okay, so this is where the chute is. Those UTVs are just parked right there. But if you go in, you see how it kind of like cuts to the left. If you go in there, that's where the exit is, if you do the chute. And so the other thing is, you can do the chute, or you can go up to the chute, park next to it, and then not do it, and then exit to the left, and then you would come out that way. And you could also come out that way after having done the chute. Okay, so at this point, I am just trying to make my way to back around. So when we first came to Sand Hollow and we saw the chute, and we pulled up next to it, it was like, it's a hard no. We're not gonna do it. And I was like, okay. But I know that there was another entrance into it where most people go when they do the chute, they come in from the other side. So that's what I'm looking for as I'm driving around the outside of this rock so I can find where the entrance to the chute normally is, and I wouldn't be going in the way that, basically like an exit, I guess. Okay, so come around here, see a bunch of people parked on an overlook. And there's no St. George Jeepers. And I'm looking to my left, and I can see the area for the chute, and it's basically pretty straight there. So at this point, I'm just like, well, let's just drive around and think about it for a second. And my second was over, and I'm like, okay. There's nobody in there. Let's just go in. And then I'm like, You can see a bunch of the UTV guys standing at the top, hoping to see somebody come up. And at this point, I'm like, as a backup, I've got a DJI little camera that I can also put up there. So I'd have the GoPro, and I would have my iPhone and the DJI phone camera. So I'd have 3 cameras rolling. All right, so I line up right on, so my passenger side is going to go up that steep part. And just look how steep this thing is. This is just crazy.
No problem.
All right, I'll show off. That was absolutely, we got it filmed for you. Did you? Yep.
Yeah. Nice work.
Thank you. Yeah, that. Good, but he did it.
That's like nothing, dude. See what I mean? Yeah, he's gonna do
Somebody else film him. You want to film him?
Hold on, Joe. Let us stop it.
At this point, I am so pumped. Can't believe I just did that. And the guy at the top is like, I filmed it for you. I'll give it to you. And so then I'm like, okay. And we figured out how to get my airdrop working for him. And he airdropped it to me. So that was pretty awesome. And this is what he took of me going up. I'm so thankful for this. This is just...
Dang, look at that thing.
This is so nice. But you can see, and the trick is, it's like you can almost kind of looks like you can avoid that one steep part on the passenger side. but the real trick is to just go up and over the steep part.
No problem.
Once you get up that, and again, I was aired down to 11, 12 psi.
Yeah.
It was probably about 12 after driving around all day.
Yeah, that made it look.
But it was 11 to begin with. Okay, so after that, and I got airdropped, I sat and had lunch and watched a bunch of people make it. Some people didn't do all that well. Some people made it very sketchy. Someone had to get rescued, helped off of it. But I'm like, well, I can just drive past the rock saying, well, you know, I did it. And once is good enough. But when I was at the top, the one dude's like, hey, you should take a picture from at the bottom. So I did take some pictures. I didn't include them all here. But right here, you can see the picture of me next to the nameplate. And nobody's at the top to witness me going. There's a couple people back at the waiting area that were watching me. But basically, it was just me guiding myself. And again, I did a pretty good job. It's just, I'm telling you, it's a little scary going up this thing. I mean, it's nice that I had it aired down plenty. And I have lockers, and yes, I was locked. And even dropping down, then it's like, it's steep down even a little bit, but it's nice and flat going down, so that's nice.
Yeah, dude, I panicked most of the brakes and it's like,
And here I am exiting. What an amazing experience. I'm so glad I got to do it. Wish I'd have been with the St. George Jeepers, but I'm sure I'm gonna make it to the next meeting and show up on time, I guess. That's my goal. I can't believe I messed that up. But at this point, I'm just like, you know, I did that. We have a new cat in the family, and I just decided it was time to go home. So I'm just going to mosey my way back over to the sand dunes because I know how to get to the exit through there, so that's nice. bombing down. Basically, the sand dune runs all the way down to the lake, which is really cool. But if you look here, coming up, this is a pretty steep sand dune. And you see a bunch of UTVs parked there. And it's like, one of the things, it's like, you know, when it's steep like this, they can't see you when you're coming up. And you can't see them when they're coming over. So it's like, I just didn't give it enough just for long enough because whatever, I couldn't see, didn't know what the drop was going to be like or whatnot, and I was just like, and then got stuck up there. But just rolled back down. It wasn't really all that hard of a hill. I just had to just not let off the gas too soon. 'Cause you don't want to be jumping over these things, at least if you want your Jeep in one piece. That was my one sand dune failure, which really wasn't all that bad. Look at that lake, isn't that pretty? So far, I've always messed up my exit. It's like, I think the trail's off to the right. I mean, you can go wherever here, but the easy part, it's like, here I am just going down these rocks, and I'm just like, oh, for Pete's sakes. And then you've got you can kind of see the trail up here on the other side of this little mound. Take a left, follow that down, pull over and wait for these guys to go by. A little Suzuki. Everybody's happy to be at the sand dunes today. Basically, you come down here. When you make the corner, you just check to make sure that the tunnel is empty. Can't tell, there's a little drop there. Hard to see the GoPro, but there's a little drop. You just turn, make sure it's empty, no one's coming down, and just make your way. Get out here. Boom, pull over, air up. Exit to the left. Thanks for watching.